Good evening and welcome to this week's Sports Report. On tonight's programme we'll be concluding our catch-up with GFA Women's Chairperson Tracy Baglietto as we look at the grassroots of the game. I'll be talking to Joe Birchall about the attraction of Gibraltar for UK schools and colleges as a sports destination. We'll also be hearing from our two new sports reporters during the course of the programme, with Robin Capurro reporting on the big Premier clash between College Europa and Lynx, and Melanie Giuliano reports back on a busy week of bowling at the King's Bastion Leisure Centre, with the Rockmasters Senior Competition for 2014 held over the course of last week. And we were rounding up the rest of the current sporting news at the end of the programme. We start, however, with football, and away from the rigours of the Premier Division, it was the turn of the Gibraltar veterans to take centre stage this past weekend, with a return to the sporting calendar for the Poppy Day match. The game has been missing from the sporting scene for the past 7 years, but with a new emphasis through the grassroots programme for all football, not just the elite, there's been a resurgence in activity for the vets. In the past year or so, there have been several indoor tournaments and there are now regular training sessions from where the 20 or so man squad to represent the Gibraltar veterans was selected. The vets' opposition, as has been the case in the past, were the combined services, which now compete at the Joint Forces Gibraltar selection, with the team not only drawing from the Army, Navy and RAF, but all the support services on the Rock, including the Gibraltar Defence Police and the Fire Service. The match on Sunday evening saw His Excellency the Governor, Sir James Dutton, and the Commander of British Forces in attendance, as well as the Sports Minister and former Mayor of Gibraltar, Mommy Levy. Both teams were presented to the Governor and Desmond Riot, the GFA President, before a minute's silence was impeccably observed by all, with the bugles of the Boy Scouts playing The Last Post. The match got underway just after 6:15 and both sides were slow to start. The majority of the chances in the first period fell the way of the Gibraltar vets, but they were unable to find a way onto the score sheet, with the service side defending well throughout the first half. Within minutes of the restart, however, the Forces side nearly took the lead, but their front man couldn't beat the Gib vets keeper on the edge of the box. It was a different look to the Forces in the second half, with a second effort somehow cleared off the line minutes after their first attack of note. The pattern continued for the majority of the second period, with the Forces in the ascendancy and the Gibraltar vets holding on. Against the run of play, the Gib vets nearly took the lead when a set piece from the right eluded all in the box and was turned away by the Forces keeper Donald Drimmy. The marked improvement in the joint services team in the second half was rewarded with 10 minutes to go when Gareth Semple capitalised on a clash between the Gib keeper and his defence to roll the ball into an empty net. The lead, however, didn't last long. Within a minute, it was all square. The dancing feet of Guy Palmer dazzled their way through several challenges before he was crudely brought down for a free kick on the edge of the box. The ball was floated over the service's defensive wall, and although Drimmy blocked the initial effort, Tony Duxbury smashed the loose ball into the net from close range. The goal breathed life into the Gibraltar vets side, and from there on in, it was practically one-way traffic. Gibraltar did have the ball in the net with just a couple of minutes on the clock, but Alex Lopez's effort was ruled out for offside somehow. The game ended shortly after in a 1-1 draw. However, the trophy was claimed by the Gibraltar veterans, as it was they who were the holders of the cup when it was last contested in 2007. Gibraltar vets captain Ivan Diarra collected the Poppy Day Cup from His Excellency the Governor Sir James Dutton and GFA President Desmond Riot. Moving to the Premier action, and due to the international window this week, the Premier matches kicked off last Thursday with Glasses against Britannia. The local Claret and Blues have seen a marked improvement in their performances since the opening weeks of the season. However, their opponents, top-flight New Boys Britannia, are determined not to head straight back to the realms of the second tier. Britannia took the lead on 15 minutes through Pachero, and although Glasses dominated the match, they only got back on level terms in the 70th minute when Dylan Martinez found the net from close range. The match ending in a 1-1 draw. Friday's match pitted St Joseph's against Manchester 62, with both sides looking to move up the table. It was a hard-fought contest by both sides, however it was the South District club who were to come away with the points with a goal in each half. Romero slotted home on 10 minutes and Paz found the net later on in the piece to secure a 2-0 win. The match of the weekend was the early kick-off on Saturday, which saw Lynx, who'd yet to concede a goal this season, against College Europa, who went into the game under new management. Our new reporter Robin Capurro brings us this report on the match.
It was second versus third on Saturday afternoon as College took on Lynx, with both teams looking to continue their great starts to the season. Lynx began nervously and struggled to get a foothold in the game, and they were made to pay just 10 minutes in. From a corner, the ball came to Delgado at the far post, who smartly knocked it back across the goal, and there was the towering Ayman Moali to head home from close range. The men in black continued to probe, and nearly made it 2-0. Juanse surged down the right and found Deshraoui on the edge of the box, but his tame effort sailed wide. As the first half drew to a close, Lynx came within inches of equalising. Gilling fed a quick free kick up to Chucky Gonzalez. He turned sharply and lofted it over the defence into the path of Avalos, who beat the onrushing robber, but also managed to beat the far post. College continued to apply pressure in the second half, and after some good link-up play between Tonchef and Saavedra, Fraiz in goal was forced into a great save to keep the score 1-0. Lynx lacked any real cutting edge up front and struggled to carve out any chances. Rafa Bardo came close with a free kick just outside the area, but his effort curled just wide. College were gifted a great chance to double their lead on the 70th minute when Lynx captain Vela made a mess of his back pass to the keeper. Tamayo showed great awareness to pick out Saavedra, who should have scored, only for the recovering Vela to deny him with a last-ditch tackle. As the second half faded, so did the belief amongst the Lynx players, and College were comfortable in seeing out their second victory on the trot.
The final game of the weekend kicked off at 7:30 on Saturday and saw Lincoln Red Imps coast past Lions Gibraltar 3-0. The Imps were in control throughout, with goals from John Paul Duarte on 21 minutes, Ryan Cassiara on 33 minutes, and Joseph Cipollina wrapped up the scoring in the 73rd minute of the game. The win sees the Imps on top after the first round of matches in the GFA Premier with 6 wins and a solitary defeat. Ominous signs for the chasing pack. Staying with football, and it's not just our senior side who are in international action this week. Our under-19s travelled to Ireland for their qualifying group on Wednesday. The boys faced Switzerland, the host island, and Malta during their trip. I spoke to the under-19s head coach, Terence Jolly, earlier this week.
Preparations for the last 2 weeks, we've intensed it a lot more than what we did last year, but we've only had 2 months to work on them compared to last year when we had maybe from the whole of the summer all the way. We had them continuously this year. It's been cut down, of course. Senior clubs, they want the players. So it's basically been for the last 2 weeks that we've been having them hard at training.
What's the makeup of the squad? Has there been any surprises coming through from the previous under-19s?
Yes, there has been, and some of even the under-17s that just came back as well. We've brought up some of their players. Reason, injuries. Our striker got injured and a bad road accident and injured his hand. Cannot play. There's no way he can play at all. So we've had to bring up, I think it's Jace Oliveros, and the other one is Theo Pissarro coming up to cover for George. So it makes it a little bit better as well. I mean, they're good kids coming up.
You've had the experience already at under-19s, far more than the senior squad of the games you played. You've got Ireland again. They seem to be our perennial friends. You've got Switzerland and Malta. Where are you looking for potential results from?
If we go to Switzerland, I think last time we looked at them, myself and my number 2, which is Sean, they're in the top 10. And I think Ireland are in the top 16. Malta, never know. We could surprise. They could surprise us, we could surprise them. I know they've got a couple of players that are actually pro, so it's going to be a hard game no matter who we get.
And so we're looking at those 3 games. The morale in the squad's quite good. There's a big lot of team building going on as well.
More team building this year we've had to do because we've brought up younger kids. So it's to try and gel them with the older players. It's worked out quite well. As you know, Erin Barnett's been brought up as the captain from last year when we had Jack. Ethan Jolly, who's come up from the under-17s last year, is vice-captain, voted by the players, of course. This is not voted by me or my technical staff. And I think between themselves they're doing a good job, keeping the players together and a nice little, like a little family.
Looking for some positive response from both on and off the pitch then while you're in Ireland?
Oh, I hope, like you know, I'm very positive in what I look at. If we look at the whole picture, a point, maybe a goal, I'm happy. It's a learning, we're learning. Last year we saw where we had to get to, and hopefully the players will click on and know what limit we want from them in the pitch.
Last week, Richard caught up with GFA Women's chairperson Tracy Baglietto to find out how the league programme was getting on. We conclude our interview with Tracy tonight as she explains how the grassroots of the sports are developing.
Right, we are just, we've been running like a Friday camp at Westside School from 5 to 6 p.m. every weekly, and it's for any girls from the ages of 5 to 12-year-olds, and basically we motivate and we're actually promoting young girls to come along and just have fun playing football. It's a non-competitive program, and it's sponsored by the UEFA Hat-Trick funding that we are currently receiving via the women's football. And actually this week, starting us from tomorrow, with the support of the education department, we're going to do a big promotional campaign within schools. So myself and my committee, members of my committee, will be visiting schools, giving out flyers and promoting this program.
And obviously for girls who aren't yet involved in local football, if you don't belong to a club or to a team, this is probably the best way to get involved, to use this as a stepping stone into one of Gibraltar's well-established clubs to play competitive football in the future.
Yes, exactly. If you're not actually registered for a team or a club, that's the emphasis behind this. You just come along, or the girls come along on a Friday afternoon, and they just play, have some fun, and I mean, we tend to show them football skills for the current ages that we are trying to promote, and depending on the numbers of girls, which is increasing in a fast manner, then we will actually approach clubs and provide them with names so that in future they could actually play in the Women's League.
That's all for part one. After the break, we'll be looking at the Rockmasters bowling tournament that took place during the past week, and I'll be finding out what the attraction of Gibraltar as a sporting venue is from Jo Birchall, a PE teacher at the Queen Ethelbergs College in Yorkshire.